and formally. So hi everyone, and welcome to another live session from the series Engineering Qualification Validation in Australia. And in this live session, which is session number 86, I will be talking about how to plan your validation process. So session 86, so it means that every week for the last 86 weeks, I am here weekly, now on Sundays, 8:30 p.m. Brisbane time, talking about a topic about the validation process in Australia, about other subjects related to engineering, and also about how to get the first professional job here in Australia. But first, for those that don't know me, my name is Gerson. I'm the founder of the website www.engineersinaustralia.com, a website that I created in 2019 to share content of value and useful information towards your engineering qualification validation in Australia. And I also share many other information, as I just mentioned. And don't forget that tonight at midnight, I will be closing the enrollments for my online mentoring program, the Validation Formula, a structured and proven method where many engineers already participate in the mentoring. I've got already 8 engineers that applied and have been approved by Engineers Australia. And I've got a couple more that applied and just waiting for the results. So midnight tonight, I'm going to be closing the enrollments for this mentoring group. So if you're still thinking or not thinking or in doubt if you should join or not my mentoring group, if you have any question, you can send me a direct message in Instagram or Messenger or an email and make up your decision. So I'll put in the comments in Facebook and Insta and YouTube the site for you to check out the details of the mentoring group. I missed a lot of comments in Facebook. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the chat. I'm just going to paste in YouTube so you can check it out. And you want the PDF, Glauber? So for you to get the PDF again, I'm going to be placing in my Telegram group. I just put in the Facebook, Glauber, the Telegram group link. So you need to download the app first. And once you download the app, Telegram is like WhatsApp, but it's much more professional in my view. So once you download the app, then you can click on the link and then you can join the group. It's the Engineering Qualification Validation group in Telegram. And then during the live session, I will be taking a picture of my screen and I'm going to do a post in Instagram. And then there will be a question that I would like you guys to answer. So once I post in Instagram, I would like to ask you guys to a little bit of engagement and like my post and make some comments in answering that question. And if I have some engagement, I will then prepare the PDF and I'm going to put in the Telegram group with a password. And the password is going to be released during the live session. So obviously, I would like you guys to stay with me until the live session. And the content is going to be really, really interesting. I spent a lot of time today just putting this together. So you know how the PDF is going to be like this. So it's going to be about 7 pages. So I'm going to be talking about all the things that I think is going to be important for you guys to do while you're doing your validation process. So I think it's worthwhile staying with me until the end, because you can get access to this PDF and you can then go back and refer to the information, especially if you are in the beginning of the process or even you that is my new student. Thank you very much for those that enrolled to my mentoring group. I'm very excited. The video classes are going to be released on Tuesday, and I'm very excited to be able to mentor you, and I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for the trust in my mentoring services, and I'm pretty sure that you will be successful, and we will have happy stories to share in the near future. So this is how the PDF is going to be. Okay, so we're going to start with the first dot point, which is in preparation for your planning for your validation process. You should read the Engineers Australia booklet. So that is my first dot point for you guys. And for those that haven't seen the booklet, Engineers Australia booklet, this is the Migration Skills Assessment booklet. And the edition is March 2020. Although it's almost 1 year, but I checked today, and this is the current version of the Engineers Australia booklet. And I'm going to leave in the PDF the link of the Engineers Australia website for you to access this booklet. It's always important to get the PDF straight from the website, because Engineers Australia could be updating the version of the booklet, so it's very important. I'm going to put in the PDF the website, and also whereabouts on the website you should be clicking so you can get the copy of the booklet. So very important to read very carefully. It has about 50 pages, but it is really important for you to follow the most updated information. I'm just going to see the questions in Facebook, in the comments. Yes, that's all. Okay, good. All right, so the second dot point that I pointed out in this planning for your validation process is to understand and read really well the CDR steps. So you gotta pay attention in the booklet. There will be a section that they talk about the CDR steps. So pretty much there are 6 steps in the Migration Skills Assessment booklet of the Engineers Australia. And don't worry, because these steps is going to be in the PDF as well. So you don't need to take notes. I put a little bit of a summary in the PDF. So step number 1 is your personal information. I'm actually going to bring the PDF with the 6 steps so you guys can follow. So I'm just going to bring the PDF there. So now you can see. So that's how the PDF is kind of a turning, or in terms of the Read the Engineers Australia booklet there. So that's the website that you gotta follow, and this is a screenshot of the Engineers Australia website. Is the Migration Skills Assessment step by step, and then you can see the first dot point there. Read the Migration Skills Assessment booklet. So that's where on the website that you need to click so you can download the PDF of the current Migration Skills Assessment booklet. And then the second step is the CDR steps. So step number 1, as I said, there are 6 steps in the booklet. Step number 1 is your personal information. So your personal information, and all of this information is from the booklet, so I'm not making anything up. I'm just sharing what and digesting what the booklet is talks about. So step number 1, personal information. Prepare your personal documentation. You gotta have your passport size photo, your ID. It could be your passport. It could be your national identity card. Just make sure that if you're using your national identity card and it's not in English language, you need to translate that as well. And if you have changed your name, you need to provide your name change documentation as well. As part of step 1, you also need to provide your CV or resume, and also you gotta upload the results of your English test. So step number 1 is pretty much easy. Obviously, English test is probably the sticky point for majority of people. A lot of people, they do pretty much everything, but because you gotta have minimum scores in each of the 4 bands, reading, listening, writing, and speaking. So sometimes you don't really get minimum scores in all of the 4 bands, and then you keep trying to do your English, and that could take a little bit of time. Step number 2 is the application on the website, in the Engineers Australia My Portal. So you need to nominate your preferred occupational category. So there are 3 categories there. The professional engineer category, the engineering technologist category, and the engineering associate. And then once you select the category, you then need to obviously specify what occupation you're going to apply under each category. For example, under the professional engineer, if you're a civil engineer, you will apply under the civil engineer occupation. If you're a mechanical engineer, environmental engineer, and so on. Step number 3 is about your education. So you need to prepare your academic certificates, academic transcripts, and any other academic relevant documentation. So if you have a post-graduation certificate, a master's degree, or specialization certificate, it's advisable for you to attach those documents as well. Step number 4, it's about your skilled employment. So evidences of employment must be provided by applicants whose career episodes are based on engineering experience, obviously work experience. And or if you are applying for RSEA services, RSEA is the relevant skilled employment assessment that Engineers Australia, they do as part of your migration purpose. Step number 5, it's the report, and the report comprises then three reports. First one being the CPD, the Continuing Professional Development, the career episodes, and the summary statement. And then step number 6 is pretty much lodging your application. So you log into your Engineers Australia My Portal. If you don't have an ID with Engineers Australia, then you'll be asked to create an ID, and then you upload the documents, you fill out the blanks, and then you pay the fees depending on the services that you are engaging. And then once you've got everything, you lodge your application. Obviously, those steps are very summarized. It's much more complex than that. And that's what I detailed in my free workshop that I just finished last week. So if you haven't participated in my free workshop, Engineering Qualification Validation in Australia, I will be probably opening registration for the next event next week. So I don't really, probably it's going to be sometime in April, and you'll be able to register for the next edition. Okay, so the next step in the planning phase. So how are you in this validation process? Can you tell me in the comments if you are pretty much in the planning phase? Are you in the doing phase, or are you in the waiting for an outcome? So let's see in what stage are you guys now. So we'll see. So if I have a little bit of information for you guys, perhaps I can help a little bit more with the content. So are you in the planning phase? Are you in the doing? You start already to do all the reports and everything? Or have you already applied and waiting for the outcome? You guys are a bit shy tonight. Okay, so we'll keep going. And again, don't forget that at midnight tonight, I will be closing the enrollments for my online mentoring program, the Validation Formula, where I teach how you can prepare your validation process step by step, so your chances to be approved by Engineers Australia is improved. And to check it out, you can click on the link that I put in the comments in Facebook and YouTube. And if you're watching on Instagram, the link is in my bio. The other dot point for you to plan for your validation process is to read the ANZ SEO List of Occupations. So the ANZ SEO List of Occupations, and ANZ SEO stands for Australian and New Zealand Standard Classification of Occupations. It is a website from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, and that's where the Department of Home Affairs or Immigration Department, they get the they get the definition of occupations that are valid for migration purposes. And Engineers Australia, they use the same definition of those occupations for when they are assessing your skills as an overseas engineer. So I'll put in the PDF as well the website for the ANZ SEO List of Occupations, and I also kind of detailed a little bit some of the most common definitions. So I'll put in here because I think it's quite useful. Obviously there are many more definitions, but I separated few ones here which are the most common ones. So this one is the website of the Australian Bureau of Statistics that you can then check the occupation definition of some, of the engineers that are available on the website. So I put together here some of the most common ones. The civil engineer, and this number here is the ANZ SEO occupation number, so that's the number that you're going to use in your application. So the civil engineer, they plan, design, organize, and oversee the construction and operation of dams, bridges, pipelines, gas and water supply schemes, sewerage systems, airports, and other civil engineering projects. The electrical engineer designs, develops, and supervises the manufacture, installation, operation, and maintenance of equipment, machines, and systems for the generation, distribution, utilization, and control of electric power. You've got to pay attention that if you are one of those engineers, the experience that you are going to use in your career episode, they need to match with the definition under the ANZ SEO. And then mechanical engineer, they plan, design, organize, and oversee the assembly, erection, operation, and maintenance of mechanical and process plant and installations. And registration and licensing may be required. The production, I'm going to just highlight these ones there. The production or plant engineer plans, directs, and coordinates the design, construction, modification, continued performance and maintenance of equipment and machines in industrial plants, and the management and planning of manufacturing activities. And the chemical engineer designs and prepares specifications for chemical process systems and the construction and operation of commercial scale chemical plants and supervises industrial processing and fabrication of products undergoing physical and chemical changes. Obviously, there are many more definitions on that website. There's the environmental engineer, there's a mining engineer, electronics engineer. I think what's the name is that naval architect, and many more. Materials engineer, resource engineer, and many more. The other part is, which is very important in your planning phase when you are starting your validation process, is to make sure that you have your curriculum vitae updated. And also, I'm just going to get everything highlighted here so we can follow that. So certainly when you're putting together your curriculum vitae and your resume, it's always a good idea to have a chat and contact your former employer. So why is that? Just to make them aware that you are applying for a validation process, and especially if you are including a work experience of a time that when you worked in that company, because Engineers Australia may ask them some questions. Engineers Australia may confirm with them some of the experiences that you included in your career episodes. Tatiana, she is watching on YouTube. She signed. She has started her validation process. Well done, Tatiana. I wish you all the best, and I hope that my content is somehow helping you in your doing. I'll check here. Facebook, no comments. No comments here in Instagram as well. So very important that when you're doing your CV, that you actually contact your employer, and also make them aware that if you are using a work experience that in that company, or if you worked more than 12 months in that company, you will need a reference letter. So when you talk to your employer and your former supervisor, your company, talk to them and ask them if they could give you a reference letter, because you will need evidences of skilled employment if you're using a work experience, or if you're claiming more than 1 year of work experience in that company. So when you talk to them, just give them heads up that you will be asking for a reference letter if they are okay for that. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a picture of my screen. So actually I'm going to put the Word document, the PDF in there, and I'm going to take a picture of the question. So that's a picture that I'm going to take, and I'm going to do a post in Telegram. So taking picture now. Yep, took a picture, just bear with me guys. And then I'm going to do a quick post in Instagram. And the post is going to be, I've got a question that I'm going to put in there. So the headline is going to be planning your validation process. And the question is going to be, what stage of the validation process are you now? Question mark. And then between brackets you can put planning, then doing, and applied. So those ones watching here, please, yeah, it's showing there. So that's the post in Instagram. So what I would like to ask you guys is to like the post, and then put in the comments the answer of the question. What stage of the validation process are you now? Are you in the planning, in doing, or applied? Please like the post and put that in the comments. If I get some likes and responses, I will then create a PDF of this document, and I will be posting in the Telegram group with a password that I'm going to be releasing pretty soon. Okay, so that's how the PDF is taking shape. Read the Engineers Australia booklet, the first hint, and then the CDR steps, and then read the ANZ SEO List of Occupations, and there are a few definitions there, so you guys can have a look. And then your curriculum vitae. And then the other part is your CPD. Another thing that you need to start doing when you're planning your validation process. So you got to take the time that you are planning to start listing the CPD events that you have attended since your graduation. So very important, guys. Your CPD, your continuing professional development, just counts those events that is after your graduation. So it's really important for you to produce a spreadsheet and keep a log of the CPD events. So, and also between now and until you actually lodge your application, it's very important to take your time to read technical articles and specialized websites to make sure that you improve and you accrue CPD. And obviously, don't forget to keep a log of those events. So just a simple spreadsheet will be enough. And then the other important point when you're planning your career episode is to think about your academic or work experience. So once you read the ANZ SEO occupation definition and you understood those definitions according to ANZ SEO, think about what experiences you could be using either from the academic or work engineering experience. And this is, and I keep saying, guys, this is a critical step in the CDR preparation, and you certainly should invest time in this process. And why do I say that is very, very important? I say that's very important because if you choose the wrong experience, you can still write all your reports, you can write your career episodes, you can write your summary statement, but if you use the wrong experience, Engineers Australia is probably likely to reject your career episode. So just be careful with that, because it's really critical. I've seen so many engineers that they spent a lot of time writing a very good career episode, but because the experience was not correct, was not matching with the ANZ SEO occupation definition, Engineers Australia rejected their career episode and asked them to rewrite a new career episode. And obviously, you don't want that to happen. All right, so now I'm going to review the first half of the password of the PDF. So the first half is going to be plan. So I'm going to put in comments, and nobody's going to, if they didn't watch the live, they're not going to know. So in Instagram, it's just PLAN, plan. So that's the first half of the password. So take notes. First half of the password is plan, PLAN. All right, so we'll keep going. The other part that I think it's important for your planning when you're starting your validation process is to think about the complex engineering experience. So go back to the word. So your complex engineering experience. And you got to consider very seriously if your experience involves a complex engineering problem or a complex engineering experience. But what is complex? Well, I'm a civil engineer. I probably can differentiate what is a complex civil engineering experience and what is not a very complex civil engineering experience. Obviously, those that are mechanical engineers, are environmental engineers, mining engineers, they will know the difference between what is complex and what is not complex. So it's very difficult for anyone else to judge if an experience is complex or not. An example of a complex engineering and not complex engineering in civil is, for example, if you do a very large footpath, for example, it could be very large. It could be thousands and thousands of square meters of footpath. It could be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in footpath, concrete footpath, reinforced and everything. But as a civil engineer, probably it's not very complex. It could be a large quantity. It could be a large sum of money. But in terms of calculation, and because it's a footpath, it's supported by the ground, especially on the ground, is not very complex. It's different from if you're designing, for example, a large slab with a very big span. So it could be different, or certainly is different, because it involves, the calculation involves many other aspects of civil engineering. So just gotta make sure that you first read and understand the occupation definition from A and Z SEO, and then that you choose a complex engineering experience, a complex engineering problem, a complex engineering project. So I put in here, if it involves complex calculations, complex design works, complex analysis, then it appears to be complex engineering experience. Sometimes you even have laboratory tests, you do some modeling, you do some testing, and usually those are part of a complex engineering experience. And then the other two, obviously, if you're planning, if you don't know where to start, if you don't know how to do it, if you're trying to get yourself informed what the process is, a good hint is to watch my videos, to participate in my live sessions. Every week, Sunday, 8:30 p.m., I am here talking about a subject of the validation process. You can go to my YouTube channel. I've got more than 150 videos talking about the validation process, engineering subjects, recruitment hints as well. So if you search just by my name, Gerson Ida, you will find me. You will find my channel in YouTube. And once you find it, please consider subscribing to my channel and activate the notifications. Very important to activate and select all notifications. Once you subscribe and activate the notifications, it helps my channel to grow. I don't really have a lot of subscribers. I've got, I think, 420 subscribers, which is a lot, I think. But when you compare to others that they have thousands and thousands. But I know that my followers, they probably have very good quality. So please consider subscribing so the content that I'm recording and the content that I'm publishing reaches more people, and more people can have the information that I, for example, didn't have when I did my validation process 15 years ago. So imagine somebody that is looking for information today. Look how much easier it could be to understand the process and to do the validation process as well. And also I've got my blog articles. So you can go to my website www.engineersinaustralia.com, and I have several articles in my blog where I explain the validation process and other engineering subjects as well. So when you go there, you will find my blog. You will find my blog with several articles. All right, so obviously there are many more things that I could be sharing with you guys, but it's been more than half an hour already. So I would like to ask you guys if you have any particular question. I will just double check here in Facebook and YouTube. And I'm going to release the second half of the password now. So the second half of the password is going to be validation. So I'm going to put in here in YouTube, validation. So that's the second half. So those on Instagram, the second half of the password is validation. So once I get some interactions in my post, I'll just double check how the post is going there. If I have some interaction there, would be good. If I just got one like, I need some comments. If I don't have comments in the post, I'm not going to produce the PDF, and the PDF is just going to go to my students. You know, my mentoring students, they're very special. You guys are also special, but my mentoring students are also very special. And for my mentoring students, I release all the PDFs without password. Any particular question? If you don't really have question, please don't forget that midnight tonight I will be closing the enrollments for my online mentoring program, the validation formula, where I will teach you how to prepare your validation process step by step, so your chances to be approved by Engineers Australia is improved. To check it out, you can click on the link in my bio on Instagram, or you can click in the link in Facebook and YouTube in the video description, or in the comments as well. So if nobody has any more question, I will then finish for tonight. And I would like you then, thank you very much for your attendance, for your participation. I hope to see you next Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Brisbane time, on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram for another live session, which is going to be session number 86. So thank you very much, and I'll see you there. Bye-bye.